My name is Ivenia Benjamin, and I am the founder and the CEO of Emmanuel Publishing House. Emmanuel Publishing House started in 2005 because we wanted to provide our Caribbean writers with an outlet for their creative work. We know how difficult it is to penetrate the traditional publishing houses in, let us say, North America or Europe. And so we didn't want our writers to continue feeling frustration. So we thought it appropriate to start our own label. I wrote my first book in 2005. It's called Caesar Sacrifice, Harvest of Faith. And I too had trouble trying to find someone to publish my work. There were the printers in Dominica who would print the material, but they were not publishers. And so I set about learning the business of publishing, and I tried to get an understanding of what it entailed, and that is how we started Emmanuel Publishing House. We have our own website. It's www.emmanuelpublishinghouse.com. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. And since 2005, we have published an extensive catalog of work. We have done poetry, we've done educational material, motivational books, historical novels, children's books, name it. As long as the content is acceptable and the quality of the work is high, we will publish for you at Emmanuel Publishing House. As long as it's within our guidelines and our standards, we will allow our writers a chance to express themselves. We know that writers' voices are very important. Writers influence the world in such powerful ways that sometimes we don't even think about. So writers really have a very, very powerful voice, and people write for so many different reasons. Those of us in Dominica will recall the book, The White Sargasso Sea by Jane Rhys. The White Sargasso Sea is a prequel to Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre. And that is also it's a novel, but it was so beautifully done. And she was just so wise, and even the whole idea of a prequel was just, to me, it was extraordinary. So writers, we need to find our voices. I actually met an individual, a young German gentleman, who denied that the Holocaust ever happened. And he said if it did happen, the gas that was supposedly used to poison the Jews would still be in the soil. So he's denying it happened. So the Jews have to write their own story. So we, as Caribbean people, we have to document our lives. We have to document our history. We have to document our experiences, whether it's by way of poetry, novels, just historical books. We must write. Otherwise, those who are coming after us will not know what we've experienced. They would not know what life was like before. And so we've asked some of our writers at Emmanuel Publishing House to express why they wrote the books and how they found the publishing process. Because publishing these days is so much easier than it ever was before. And so I want to invite you to listen to some of our writers and be motivated by what they have to say. And hopefully you too will stop wasting time. It's actually much later than you think, so start writing. Get out your pen and paper and write. Write what you've been dreaming about writing for all these years. Because if you don't do your own writing and take control of your narrative, somebody else may tell your story, but in a different version that may not even be the truth.
My name is Don Mitchell. I'm a retired judge, a retired High Court judge. I live in Anguilla. I've worked in all the islands of the Caribbean over the years. I've been a practicing lawyer since 1971. And in recent years, I have been a law lecturer in the high school in Anguilla, the Albina Lake Hodge Comprehensive School.
I'm Alma Daru, and I am a writer from the Commonwealth of Dominica.
As you will know, CAPE has exams for law, 2 units, 2 years. I have had to prepare my lectures because I could not find any lecture notes for an Anguilla high school, so I decided I will write my own. And Emmanuel Publishing House very kindly offered to publish them after I had been working on them for a few years, because I taught for 8 years. It was only in the last 3 years that I was lucky enough to have my textbooks published by Emmanuel Publishing House. The first edition was done in 2015, the second edition in 2016, and the third edition in 2018. I have done the first 2 editions on my own, and the third edition I have done with the current law lecturer, Stanley Reed Esquire.
I've been writing for a very long time, in fact, from a very young age. And I remember, as a matter of fact, I remember telling my mother from a very young age that I wanted to be an author one day. And, I began writing, continuously, and also reading. I love reading. I'm a voracious reader. And even today, I read all the time. And I remember from my early 20s, I began putting this collection of poetry together. During that time, I was a member of the Dominica Writers Guild, and I noticed that many of my contemporaries were putting out their books, they were publishing their books locally, and it's encouraged me to have my own book out. So I remember, it motivated me.
Like most of us who write, I really never thought that I would see my writing in print. It was a marvel to me when one day somebody said, "But Don, you could get your books published quite easily. Why don't you speak to Emmanuel Publishing Company?" Its managing director was right here in Anguilla. I could talk to her and see if it was true, if it would be possible. And she said, "Of course it's possible." And so we got together and we published the first edition. The next year I had revisions to make, so we did the second edition. By the third edition, CAPE had gone and changed the syllabus. So we had to rewrite all 6 volumes in order to match the new syllabus. So Stanley Reed helped me, as he was now teaching law, and we redid the 6 books so that he would be able to teach from textbooks that were current, up to date. It was not a lot of work. It was a lot of fun. I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for many years now, nearly 50 years. So you pick up quite a lot during 50 years of time. And things that are very difficult when you are very young become a lot easier.
I began putting this collection together, and as the years went by, I would add to it, intending to have it published. But I wasn't very successful at that, until one day I was visited by Miss Ivenia Benjamin, the owner of a small publishing company called Emmanuel Publishing House. Now, Ivenia is also a friend of mine, and we met through the literary festival. And so when she told me that she was interested in having my book published, of course I jumped at the chance. And she was also interested in having other local writers' works published. And so we began the publishing process. Now, the publishing process is not as simple as the writing process, I must say. But we endured, we continued, and being a graphic designer also helped me in playing a major part in the publication of the book. I was able to design the cover and also, play a part in the editing process of the book. So that was a great thing. And then finally, in 2019, the book was finally published and is now available on Amazon. It's entitled I Am Soul. I am really, really grateful to Ivenia for affording me this opportunity to have my work finally published. It's now available on Amazon. I've had a number of them published. I'm sorry, I had a number of them sold, and they continue to sell on Amazon.
And so I would recommend anyone who has a book, whether it's poetry, a novel, a textbook, who would like to see it in print, to do as I did and contact Emmanuel Publishing House, Miss Ivenia Benjamin. She is a very well-known lawyer from Dominica, and Emmanuel Publishing House is a Dominican publishing company, of course. If you contact her, you can find her online. You can find Emmanuel Publishing House online. You will find contact details there. And I look forward to seeing as many people as possible getting into print so that we can have a Caribbean-wide publishing library of books.